Hey guys and gals, Insomnia from UnrealTek, a division of BlenderTek, and welcome to the fourth video in the Substance Painter workflow series. Today, to gauge interest, I'm going to go over how we got the effects last time in more detail, which is by baking textures and then using smart materials. And I'm going to post a link to the FBX model too, so that if you want to follow along, you want me to continue with this series, going through masking and stenciling and using multiple smart materials and painting and such, please let me know if you're interested or if I'm better off doing something else. Anyways, go grab something to drink or eat. Remember our motto, create your way, and let's get to it. So in the last video, we went over texture baking in detail. I'm going to redo that really quickly from scratch and then get onto the smart materials. So we're going to go File, New, or Control, and we're going to select a mesh. So we'll select our mesh that I want to upload. And DirectX format is OpenGL by stock. I work in DirectX for no apparent reason. I'm going to start with a document resolution of 1024 because I'm recording, but you can change that at any time without losing any quality. As I explained in the first video, it's completely non-destructive, so we'll hit OK and it'll import our mesh. So we have three materials: the screen and pump, main body, and hoses. So we're going to bake the textures for all three of them. So we're going to select hoses first, and we're going to hit bake texture. First, we're going to add our emissive map because we want this one to glow. So we're going to bake textures, and like I said, we're going to bake all of them for all of them, and we're going to choose 1024 as the output size and a dilation width of 2. In fact, I'm going to go 248 just for a little bit extra quality, since that won't affect the actual rendering, so it won't affect the recording. So I'm going to hit bake textures and let it do its thing, and I'll get back in a second. So we now have all our maps for hoses, and they've shown up under textures. So now we're going to move on to the main body. We're going to do the exact same thing. I totally forgot. Let's go back to hoses, and we got no details at all in those. Bake textures, we forgot to enter in our mesh. So let's select our high definition mesh, and that would totally make a difference. So I'm going to rebake that. Sorry guys. So with that making a lot more sense and looking a lot better, now we can move on to the main body and bake the textures and do the exact same thing. Just hit bake. And that one's done. So lastly, let's choose the screen and pump and bake textures one last time. So there we go, we have all 21 textures baked now, which in the last tutorial we exported for external use, but this time we'll be using it for generators, and the generators automatically pick them up, so we don't need to worry about choosing them unless we're doing pretty advanced stuff. So we're going to start with the main body, since it's, well, a body, and we're going to go back to the smart material I was using. So we'll select the smart materials tab, and we'll scroll down, and we will find machinery, my favorite one for stuff like this. Excuse me. And so we're just going to drag and drop it into the layers panel, and as long as we have nothing in layer 1, it will show up just fine, just like this. Now it is not editable just like this. However, you'll see if we select it and expand it and go into one of these mask builders on the masks, you'll see that it has automatically chosen our curvature, AO, position, world space, normals, and so on and so forth for all the other ones automatically. And so without it, it would just be rust. And I like the look of this here. We could do a little bit of masking if we wanted. For example, I think the nozzle shouldn't have any paint on it, so what I would do is I'm going to go to the paint layer, which I believe is this one. Yep, so that's all the paint there. We could even turn off the dust and the rusty, or sorry, yeah, the dust if we wanted. It doesn't have much effect. So we're going to go into the paint layer, and we're going to select this second one right here, which the black and white one, which is the actual mask. And it has a mask builder on top of it, and so you can see that effects are not paintable, and the mask is, but the mask generator is going to have an effect on it. So to make this work, what we need to do is we basically need to be able to paint on a layer above the mask builder while still retaining the mask builder, because if we remove that, then we lose all of that effect except for what I accidentally painted there. So we're gonna leave that enabled, but if we right click on the paint mask and click add paint, which will be just a regular paint layer, and now we get a color choice. So if we go down to our color in the bottom where it says grayscale, because this is a grayscale map, we can go between black, which is completely rusted, and white, which is completely painted. And so that allows us to do some painting on top of the mask builder, which is all based on this mask here. You can see it's colored red because it's got these effects on it. So the paint is affecting it, as is the mask builder. And you can do these in different layers, but we want the paint layer on top because we want this to be totally rusty. So we are going to paint it totally black. So we'll zoom in nice and close using the controls we learnt, and we will paint all around it so that it is totally rusty. Now our brush is fairly you can see it's Gaussian, whatever you want to call it. So what I'm going to do is turn the spacing down all the way. I'm going to bump up the size, but I'm going to take the alpha shape and I'm going to I'm going to select it and change it to just a basic shape. And the shape down here, I'm going to change to disc. So that'll be just a nice hard disc. We'll change the hardness up to 1. So now when we paint, it is like a straight, flat, you're getting exactly what you're painting kind of deal. And so we can bump the size back down now so we don't overpaint. We can hold down Alt Shift and left mouse button to snap if we want. I like doing that sometimes. So we're gonna paint in pure black with that setup, and just like I said, kind of go over right to the tip here, right by the nozzle. So like I said, I feel that that would be totally totally rusted. As you can see, we're getting some issues where it's not getting in all the crevices. First we'll finish all the way around this border here. Sometimes that can be changed by using a smaller paint size. Sometimes that's just due to the unwrap. You can see it's the paint layer causing it. And so sometimes you need to work in 2D as well. So we can turn on 3D/2D and we can figure out exactly where this is. And I believe we'll be able to do that by going to the geometry decal, this one right here. And if we do a polygon selection, I guess, and set it to straight black, we should be able to select these polygons in here, and they should get set to pure black, but I guess they already are. So I guess that's just kind of an effect of the automatic generator that we won't really be able to get around. Although I have one more idea. So I'm just selecting all these faces here, making sure that they are indeed set to full black by using the geometry decal tool. I'm just dragging with the left mouse button. You'll see if I do it over here, I could get that whole setup just like that. So very useful for when you want to do entire areas at once. But I think that's as good as it's going to get, like so. So we'll go back to just regular painting, and we'll expand the paint layer because it actually has a second layer, which I believe is where we're getting this from. That is dirty paint. No, maybe not. Okay, off, on, clean paint, on, off, off, off. So it is a little bit of both. So we can go to the dirty paint layer and we can add a paint layer to that as well. And we could do the same thing. As you can see, that's fixing it a little bit. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use, since it's just we're basically filling it. I'm gonna use the geometry decal in full black. I'm painting, oh, I didn't want projection, I wanted geometry. So yeah, full black. I'm gonna select polygons with full black, and yeah, I'm just gonna select these areas. Like so, select that, make sure that's all selected in there, and all that right in there. Perfect. Trying to see where these are in the 2D, but I think that's about as good as we're gonna get it. We can go back to paint mode and give it a double go over. You can see this layer is really having no effect even if we go straight white. So yeah, that's having little effect. And we could add a mask to the clean paint layer if we wanted, but that's gonna be a lot of work that I don't want to get into in this specific video. So I think we'll just call it good there. I don't believe it's any of these other layers that's doing anything with it. It's just the paint layer and one of the generators doing something that we can't really have any control over, but that looks pretty good overall, I think. I might have accidentally painted that back to be rusty, and we could paint it right back to be completely painted, but you want to leave some rust, and I think it was fine the way it was, so I'm just going to leave it like that. I think that was the automatic one, although this looks like it got messed up, so I'm just gonna paint it all right in, just something like that, nice and quick and easy, and leave the back like that. I think that looks just fine. Just give that poly some work there. Again, it's got a little bit of overflow, as you can see, and this is where a tablet and taking your time with a smaller brush size can really come in handy. So I'm gonna call that about done. So now we can go ahead and move on to this screen and pump. So we decided last time that that looked pretty cool with the visor, smart material glass visor, so we'll drag that one in. And if we up the emissive, we saw how that made it really emissive, although where the heck did my emissive map go? We didn't add one for this one, did we? Which needs it, so we're gonna add an emissive map. There we go. Now it's glowing. So yeah, that's pretty cool. However, I am going to take the emissive map and change. I'm going to go back to 3D mode here. We are going to find, you can see glowing edges. This is a setup on its own. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a, let's see if this will work, another paint layer again. And I'm going to go black in a large size. I don't want any emissiveness on this part, so I'm just going to paint all the emissiveness away, basically. So just very quickly making big brush strokes with a large hard brush. I don't want this part to glow. Nor do I want these edges to glow. I only want the screen part to glow. So just kind of painting away this emissive layer. And technically, we are only working in this layer. So we could move right to the emissive layer if we wanted to. That can be helpful sometimes. So just making very broad, quick strokes, not really taking my time at all. And yeah, we'll just paint these edges, although that one I might go and undo some of that after, because I might want that edge to glow, so I'm going to leave that one actually. So for a really quick job, I think that's not bad at all. We can totally work with that. You'll see that your paintbrush automatically snaps to faces. So that's where using a smaller brush sometimes can give you more control. I'm going to go back to white and add it. Whoa, I guess I don't want to do that. I would have to maybe erase. Yeah, erase right there. And back on this edge maybe a little bit. And at the top. Alright, cool. So we'll go back to display material. I like the look of that, although I'm still erasing. Oh, I'm erasing on everything now. We got a little glitch in there from one of the layers, but it's not a big deal. We can work with that later. It could look, yeah, we could make it look cracked too. So yeah, I liked that look with the main body. And then the hoses. We want the hoses to be rubber, but we want the rest to be like the body. So I'm going to put tire rubber in, and then I'm going to right click, add a black mask, and I'm going to paint in black. Sorry, paint in white where I want that, which is all along these hoses here. And so we'll just quickly make these hoses black. Well, not black, the rubber material. And you'll see when you've got all of your material layers showing, when you start painting, it hides the ones that aren't there. And if you want, you can just go to solo mode too. Definitely makes it easier sometimes. So again, without spending all day going in here with a lot of details, going on every single angle, I'm going to call that pretty much good enough. Just make sure we get anything on the bottom. Good deal. Alright, so next, put the main body back on and the screen. Just hit all too. I'm going to, I think I like the machinery layer on there, so I'm going to add that above the tire rubber, and I'm going to add a black mask to it, and I'm going to paint black on this, or sorry, white. I always mix those up. White on this whole deal, just really quick. In fact, I'm going to use the square brackets just like in Photoshop to make my brush huge, since this is basically just a flat circle that was created using a Bezier curve. So we'll just quickly make sure that's painted off. Cool, cool. And I want there to be less paint on there, so I'm going to go into the paint layer, select its mask. I'm going to go to the MG mask builder. I'm going to play with the levels. I think I'm going to turn the level up, or maybe down. Maybe that should be more painted. Yeah, I'm going to turn it down, so just give it so it's just around the edges. The contrast I'm going to leave fairly low as well. Maybe turn the levels up a bit. Give it more of a dirty than a rusty look. Yeah, very low contrast. The intensity we can turn down as well. Scale we want pretty low. Not too low though, obviously. Not too high either. I think it was fine the way it was with two or three. 2 I think was just fine. We could use a custom grunge, but I don't want to spend time on that right now. And does it have a built-in secondary grunge? Not really. The AO intensity we're gonna bump up. The range we're gonna not bump up. A little bit for around the screen there, as if people had been like touching it. Contrast, we're gonna bump down. Noisiness, we're gonna bump up a little bit. The noise scale, I think, needs to go up to give it that dirty look. It's on spots. See, there's all sorts of things you can go and adjust here. Scratches, we want lots of scratches. Not lots, but make it look worn. Of fair intensity, but of a lower scale, so it looks like just random scratches. Top intensity all the way down for the world space normal. The bottom, however, it's not going to take the effect I want totally. In the front, turn that up a little bit, back a little bit, right. Oh, it's got the sides all mixed up. It's working on, I think it works on a Z, or yeah, Z forward and backwards. Weird. Or I've just got this model rotated. Anyway, the right intensity is what I want to turn up. I want that to look more rusted and used. Whereas the left, the back, I want that to be more unused. So I'm going to turn that way down as well. And the scatter intensity, I'm not going to do a lot there, so we'll just leave that as it is. So that is under the MG Mask Builder by expanding machinery, selecting the paint, or expanding the paint layer, selecting paint, and then the MG Mask Builder. We could do the same for the dirty paint, but I feel it's pretty good the way it is. I mean, we could increase or decrease the way we wanted it, but I think it's fine just the way it is. And we could play with it a little bit if we wanted, but it's not going to have as much of an effect as the clean paint because most of it's masked off. I think almost all of it is actually. Yeah, like it's going to have almost no effect. So we're going to leave that. And let's go to the main body quickly, and let's do the same thing with the paint layer under the MG Mask Builder. Let's play with its settings a little bit. We want its level. We want it to be a bit more rusted. So let's give it a bit of overall rust, a little bit up, and a little bit higher contrast. Grunge intensity, we'll set fairly low. I kind of want the edges to look roughed up here, so scale's fine. We don't have a secondary grunge. The AO, bump it up all the way because I'm looking for it around the edges, and the range, we'll get it just right. Contrast, we don't want it too, we'll just leave it at the bottom. That's where it looks the best. And noisiness, we want it fairly low. All right. Yeah, that's not gonna have a lot of effect without going too crazy spending time. Scratches, we want lots of scratches on here, but of a less intensity again and less scale. Or sorry, bigger scale maybe, less scale. We'll bump them down actually. And the world space normal. So we want the top to be fairly worn down as if someone had used the screen. The bottom you're not really going to see, but we want that to be like pretty much left alone. The front is actually the left. We're going to leave that alone. Same with the back. But the right, make that a little bit higher, and the left we can bump down a bit. That'll be the back again. So like that. So pretty cool. So yeah, the hoses, the main body, and that. So I think I'm gonna save because Substance likes to crash. I should have done this earlier. Futuristic gas pump tutorial 04. And we don't need to import it into anywhere yet. We don't need to export and import the textures because they have a pretty good preview setup here. But yeah, I like that setup. So you guys can see, like, for automatic generation, it works pretty darn well. Oh, I totally intended to make that the machinery setup as well, but this is already getting too long, so I'm gonna leave it as is. And like I said, whoops, didn't mean to paint that. You guys can tell me if you want me to continue or not, and I will be posting a link to the model if you want to play around with this. So yeah, that is it for now. I'm going to leave it off there. So thanks again for watching from the team here at UnrealTek, a division of BlenderTek.com. If you enjoyed this video and learned something, please like it and don't forget to subscribe for more of our videos. And we also accept donations if you look in the description or on social media on the links on your screen. If you dislike this video for some reason, please tell us why so we can continually improve based on your community input. We also take requests, so we'll see you next time. Remember, create your way.